The next panel now for the coming 45 minutes will be moderated by Saqr Ereiqat, who is with crypto Oasis Sentio, a new fund. And I have a collection here of some of my closest friends, Gaurav, Dubey, CEO of TDeFi, the usual suspects at the Future Blockchain Summit that we were also organized. And Ralph Simon has flown in from London yesterday. He's with Polygon. I'll let them introduce themselves. Chris Chalfoun and Kirck Allen launched the new Meta Terrace back in December that got global recognition. So I think we have Wassim on stage already from Verofax, another usual suspect at Jitex Future Stars. A big star, has grown his company very fast in the last few years. Really looking forward to this. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Oscar, and thank you for a great turnout. I was slightly expecting this because it's really one of these topics that is interesting and on everyone's mind. I have an absolute wonderful panel here with me today. People that work in this industry, people that are developing this industry, and people that are facilitating the growth of this industry. So why don't we start with a very short 10 to 20 second introduction of everyone we have here. Let's start with our good friend Gaurav.
I'm operating TDeFi. It's a crypto incubator and advisory service, and we help projects in their journey from being an idea to a full-fledged enterprise. And there's a whole range of services that we offer for the same.
Wonderful, thank you. Over to you, Ralph.
My name is Ralph Simon. I'm from London. I head up a company called Mobilium Global, but I also work very closely with Polygon Media and Hungama in India, but also companies in Silicon Valley and across Europe. And my business is involved in the development of mobile Metaverse products, particularly for brands and especially for the food and beverage industry.
Wonderful, thank you, Ralph. Wassim, over to you.
My name is Wassim Merheby, and I'm the CEO and co-founder for Verofax Limited. At Verofax, we develop retail tech and consumer tech solutions, specifically turning product from offline into interactive and bringing them into metaverse retail environments. Thank you.
Wonderful. Chris?
My name is Chris Chalfoun. I'm a cryptocurrency trader since 2016.
If you could speak up and maybe close.
Cryptocurrency trader since 2016. I quit my full-time job 2 years ago to found ColossalBit, which is NFT and Metaverse consulting company. Also, we are working on main two projects for us, which is Kaloscope. So I'm also CTO at Kaloscope and at Meta Terrace.
All right, and last but not least.
Hi guys, my name is Kirck. Normally I say that I'm only here for the food. But what I do is I'm the CEO and founder of a startup called Kaloscope, and we are a social media metaverse project. And what we do is we produce virtual spaces that are exclusive to certain NFTs and brands, creating almost like a cross-platform experience for mobile, web, and wearables.
See, so we didn't overpromise, right? We have a very wide range of experience here on the panel. From our end, we're building today something called the Crypto Oasis. The Crypto Oasis is really Silicon Valley arriving in the UAE and Middle East, supporting blockchain ecosystems, growing infrastructure, talent, and capital. Going straight into it, the Metaverse. Food and beverage in the Metaverse. And I see that Ralph is already edging to answer. So when is food and beverage coming to the Metaverse, Ralph?
Before we answer when it's coming, when did the word Metaverse first begin? How many of you know? Which year was it first coined?
I don't know.
Take a guess.
No idea.
Shout it out.
That book, Snow Crash.
1992,
Nice.
Exactly correct. And where did it come from?
Snow Crash.
Exactly. It was a very famous book by Neil Stephenson. So think about that. 30 years ago was when it first came up. But of course now, why one has to look at it, how many of you here yesterday saw Benjamin Kalea from Live It? Where's Benjamin? He's here in the audience today. Where's Benjamin? Is he here? Now he's doing some business outside. Benjamin from Livid showed some incredible examples of how in F&B you can enhance your revenue by effective use of technology in your restaurants, in your food and bev preparation, in hotel operations. It was really incredible. If you can get to see the video of his session from yesterday, it'll really give you a very good idea. But with Metaverse, just to give you an idea of some of the brands that are starting to utilize it, Coca-Cola, obviously doing something, Nike, Adidas, PwC, PricewaterhouseCoopers, a whole division, Roblox, the gaming company, very big in this space, Louis Vuitton and Balenciaga, but now it's moving towards how you can develop your F&B, because if you do it, you can have inclusive technologies that can really help you widen the reach of what you're doing. People look at video games, it tends to be only exclusive, one person at a time, but with a metaverse, you can really broaden your message way out. So it's a marketing element at the moment, but growing to be what is called Web 3.0.
Wonderful, thank you so much, Ralph. Wassim, when is the metaverse coming to food and beverage?
Well, honestly, I think we're already there. With the application of product unique serialization, smart serialization. This is a proof of ownership, which is an NFT, which allows for every product to become interactive, and you're able to actually interact, deliver an experience that is impossible to do before. When you look at all the e-commerce, it is already moving into the 3D. I think Ralph just mentioned that. So more and more retail people don't want to swipe and swipe and swipe. They want that, to bring it back from the hybrid model from the digital model back into the hybrid model, where it's a 3D store, like we're used to it, the normal field of vision, So I think, we're already there. It's just baby steps, but I would say it's happening as we speak.
And I think proof and point, Chris, you operate something called the Meta Terrace. What is that?
Well, it's a concept where we wanted to blend with the reality with the metaverse. It's a real place. People think it's only the metaverse. It's in the IFC in Central Park Tower. It's a lounge style area where we will have interaction. We want to build the crypto community place there. We will have interaction VR, AR in real world and in the metaverse. We are building a virtual version of the Meta Terrace in Sandbox in the metaverse. People can join, instead of joining through a flat screen live on YouTube, they can join from their VR or from their phone. We are making it easier. We have augmented reality menu. So we are augmenting the experience of the user. People can come and order the food online by seeing it, a 3D model of it, experiencing it, and sharing it with their friend that are in the Meta Terrace. So you can order to your friend. He's sitting in the US, and your friend are in Dubai. You can invite them. We are integrating with Web3 also, so the payment is through your MetaMask, your Web3. We have a lot of other also ideas that are coming, but this is the purpose of this is to build the community in Dubai and have a place for people to present their project, their crypto project. If you have a VR project, we have already VR headset there. So it's a environment for the crypto community to grow and connect with the metaverse.
That is absolutely impressive. And you've opened the doors, I think, a month ago, a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, we did a soft launch.
Soft launch.
Yeah, in December. We tested the ground and all the technology that we're building, and now we are under construction. We are building it. We're hoping to start opening by 1st of March.
Interesting, super. I have to count me in, I'll be right there. Gaurav, you look at this from a bit of a different lens, right? You support companies that are entering this space. If you look at the companies you see in TDeFi, right? The companies that are addressing particular food and beverage, in the food and beverage industry, how do you see this industry developing? How do you see companies? Are you seeing more companies coming out? I'd love your insight on this.
Like you said, I have a very different view of how Metaverse as an industry is evolving. And I've got to give you a little background. And by the way, I'm just advocating the same phenomena across all the talks that I have over the next 2 months. So don't get bored of the repetition. We've all seen the blast of e-commerce industry. And whilst it touched the $1 trillion industry mark, we didn't see as many e-commerce succeeding further. While the next fleet of unicorns were the one facilitating e-commerce setups, right? So instead of building your own e-commerce, people started building facilities. And even today, we have some of the largest companies coming up in terms of valuations that are facilitators, robo companies, delivery chains, even in blockchain supply chains, there are recent unicorns coming to facilitate e-commerce as a beast as it is. I think Metaverse is already at that brink, and being a VC for the last 12 years, our job is to, and now as advisors, is our job to tell people what's best for them. So now we are particularly looking at service providers, and this is where I think I should coin a statement. Rather than bringing Metaverse to food, we should take food to Metaverse. There are already so many successful Metaverse, and food is such a common topic. You really can't create a Metaverse of food. Dude, food is what we have 5 times a day, at least me. I don't know those who are dieting.
Lucky man.
Yeah. So how can you limit it to a single Metaverse? You have to take it to Decentraland, you have to take it to Sandbox, you have to take it to everywhere, right? And similarly for all the services, so we are more focused. God has given us a chance. We are super lucky to have a huge pipeline of applicants. And now we're only choosing and sort of incubating companies that are service providing. We are not technically incubating more metaverses. We have some of the unicorns there. For example, we have companies that are facilitating audio, like live audio. Simple thing, very simple, but very tough to solve. Live communication, movement, and then knowledge, education, Wikipedia, GitHub model. How would you GitHub on Metaverse? Have you thought about it? You've been doing it on 2D in text. Think about a GitHub on Metaverse. So we are facilitating, we are looking forward for these kind of companies. We are helping, supporting them with the knowledge that we have from the orthodox investing world, and taking them to more metaverses through our connections, and then help them grow. So that's my overall approach. I don't think there are more chances of a new metaverse succeeding. I think rather if they would optimize themselves to be a service provider. For example, in this particular to this conference, if there are food providers, there are restaurants who are who are planning to go 3D, they should approach these popular metaverse. And the live example I can share here is our, the PR went yesterday. We are now partners with Equibank. So Equibank approached us, it's a crypto bank, and we are taking them to metaverses, not one, all the metaverses, so that you'll have access to financial services, crypto banking, real financial products, loans, insurance, whatnot, on every metaverse. So there'll be branches of Equibank there. Why not we have food and restaurants there?
And that's a beautiful point that you make, right? Suddenly we see more and more branches opening up in the metaverse, real life branches that are now moving to the metaverse. I had my first experience in the metaverse way back when in '94, when I wore VR glasses for the first time, but I tried the Oculus the other day. It is absolutely impressive and amazing, and you feel like you want to stay there. During COVID though, unfortunately, we've seen a lot of retailers go out of business, right? How, Wassim, do you see that the metaverse can help these retailers that have gone out of business?
Yeah, well, this is an amazing question, by the way. I think today the retailers, they are facing a problem if they haven't actually jumped on the first bandwagon of digital transformation. Now it's a second bandwagon, but it's a huge opportunity for the retailers. How can you build your flagship store within a metaverse environment? How do you actually turn that into a global and local store, with all the right languages, right range, right products? And how do you then communicate and enable, your promotions, your local promotion, your channel promotion, your consumer promotion? And how do you personalize that when you have more direct interaction with the end consumer? And this is where Verofax is actually, providing services for retailers and consumer brands to interact on offering that perfect, 3D experience and then also the perfect validation of the product with smart serialization.
Can you name drop some of your clients?
Well, some of them are actually sitting in the front row. So we have Fresh and Fine here in UAE that we're working with. We have global brands such as, for example, we cannot yet mention the brand, but it's a Fortune 500 brand that we're currently doing some global promotion for them. We have different environments where, you know, weddings are also happening, different kind of stores for buying Metaverse goods to be, you know, gifted in those weddings. We've seen a recent event happen in India that attracted hundreds of thousands of people, if not more, millions of people actually from around the world. So, you know, it's quite an interesting world that we're going into.
It really is the best time to be alive, if you ask me. And we've heard so many big names, right? We've heard from Ralph. He told us about Adidas and Nike and Louis Vuitton and Balenciaga. We've heard from you, Wassim, around local brands adopting it. We've heard about banks. How do you see that developing? What is your point of view on the companies that are coming to the metaverse, and how do you think that they will start interacting with the wider public?
I mean, for me, the way I see it, I think the best input for companies right now is also to take a look at gamification of the experiences. So, you know, a lot of the times when you're presented with, you know, F&B, food-related projects, it's a bit boring. So I was part of the hemp and cannabis industry over the last 5 years.
Oh, careful.
But, you know, like, and the point is really, it's like...
In case there's a recording, let's take that out of the recording. The gentleman is a very nice gentleman. He works in the metaverse, has nothing to do with any illicit activity.
But it's really the educational part on how to get people more involved with, you know, just trying to understand your food. So we, like a good example is one of our partners in Spain. They produced a sort of like a mini game on a QR code placemat on a menu. So the best way to do that, you scan your phone, you tap on that, and then people sort of register. So while they're waiting for their food, people can actually, you know, people can experience a game, and if they continue to play it, they can probably get rewarded with different other utilities, maybe discounts further on while eating, or maybe like another experience for another business. So just cross collaborating with other businesses. But yeah, I mean, sky's the limit when it comes to the metaverse. But I honestly think that adding extra utility, making it more enjoyable for the users, could be a way to attract more people, local people to retail consumers.
And then, you know, there are more ways where people don't have to be essentially crypto to understand this. One of our companies has already onboarded like top-notch financial brands, fashion brands. Like I'm talking about the top 20. Tommy Hilfiger, Gucci, and so on. And the audience will not even know the crypto side of it. They'll simply be sent to a web app, ad banners there within the metaverse as we see it. They wouldn't even know that they're dealing with the hyped up industry metaverse. They simply see a 3D web app, enter it, interact with the services that they're there to interact with, right? So, and then be a part of this hype, you know, this thing called metaverse. There are amazing ways it's onboarding people without even being crypto.
Which is a wonderful point of view. Maybe just a check for the audience, because I can see a lot of question marks in your faces, right? So, who would say they understand the metaverse? Maybe by a show of hand. Great. Okay. Not the majority. Who would say they use the internet in the audience? Who uses the internet here? Okay. Who of you, if I'd ask you right now, would be able to explain the internet to me?
I'm a telecom guy.
Yeah. That's my expectation. And to Gaurav's point, right? We don't need to make it about technology. It isn't about technology. It is about a user experience, how we enhance the user experience. If I need to explain the technology to you from a user experience point of view, do we really know how Amazon works? But no, I know that, you know, I order something now and I receive the feedback pretty much minutes later, and maybe by the end of the day I'll have my item delivered to me. Ralph, I know you have a very unique lens to this entire industry, because you look at it as an advisor, you look at it from a media point of view and a technology point of view. What are your predictions, or where do you see this right now, and where do you see this going?
Okay, so what I think is interesting, on the 3rd of March in Barcelona is the world's largest mobile congress called the Mobile World Congress. This year, for the first time, there will be a major feature on NFTs, NFTs being one of the elements of the metaverse, but also on the whole notion of what the metaverse is. And for those of you that are still unclear, because sometimes it's difficult to understand, think of it like this. How many of you have used a virtual reality headset? A few of you have. Now, the new versions of these VR headsets, you won't have to be connected to a box, it'll be wireless. And a lot of the interaction with the future of the metaverse will be on mobile devices, mobile phones. But think of this. If you've got virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, NFTs, DeFi, which is decentralized finance, blockchain, and crypto, those are all the ingredients that make up the metaverse. Now, if you're, let's say, a food brand, or let's say that you are developing a new food product, like in Silicon Valley a few years ago, Beyond Meat started looking at something that tasted like meat but was not actually traditional meat. You could use these different elements to be able to develop effectively a new marketing process like we spoke about with these major brands like a Coca-Cola or Nike or Adidas. But in terms of food and beverage, when I suggested earlier on that you look at this company called Livit, they are originally from Spain but now operating out of Stockholm, that really in Sweden, they are real specialists in showing you how you can get revenue share, revenue addition to your food products, your beverage products, your distributed products in a really interesting way.
That's a wonderful insight.
Shall we coin a term here, right?
I love coining.
D-food. DeFi, D-food. Decentralized food.
Decentralized food. By the way, what you're seeing here is the next $1 billion business deal being made, right? So it's happening live as we speak.
Oscar, you deserve a cut. Commission.
Chris, you again have this point of view. You've brought this metaverse concept to mixed reality. What are your expectations for people and their uptake in the next coming months? I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, for me also, I have a different view about the metaverse. I will share it because now we are linking the metaverse specifically with the VR and the AR. But I see the metaverse is the next frontier of social media. It's we were talking about all these brands that are joining the metaverse. Why they are joining the metaverse and what are their plans? They are not looking for the coming couple of months. They are coming for the coming 10 years. And we all know the brands that did not catch up, like for example Nokia and BlackBerry did not catch up with the new trend that was
I still use a BlackBerry, carefully. Yeah?
Yes,
so,
but
wrong panel to this
2 days
BlackBerry.
ago,
I love BlackBerry. One of the reasons why Saqr and Oscar are my best friends, because they use BlackBerry.
Yes, but they did not catch up to the trend. And 2 days ago, the CEO resigned, by the way. So there is no BlackBerry anymore. But we're going to say that all the brands, they are looking to join the next frontier of social media. I see the metaverse allows the brands to interact directly with the user and the customer instead of using this big giant intermediary like Facebook, Instagram, and Google. So now, because we've seen also how easily Twitter can cut off a brand and they disable their account and they cannot connect with their customer. I see more the metaverse will allow the brands to directly connect with their customer and with the integration of Web3, directly connect with their wallet and they give them experiences that they cannot provide in their daily shops, for example, the augmented experience in the metaverse. Also, like I was discussing with some people recently, he was telling me, I'm not gonna ever enter the metaverse because I don't want to put glasses on my head. And literally at the same time, he received a message on WhatsApp And I was speaking with him, and he was in the totally different world. I told him, you are already in the WhatsApp metaverse. You are already in the metaverse with the person that you're talking with. So people think that the metaverse is just putting a headset and cutting off from the real world, but it's not about that. It's about augmenting the experience, giving the brands also a power to connect directly with the user and interact with them, give them more ability with the NFTs, more functionality. This is what we are doing also at Kaloscope and ColossalBit.
I'm actually not liking the fact that no one's talking about HoloLens here. We're talking about mobile devices bearing the metaverse and DeFi.
Tell us about HoloLens.
Yeah, I think the future of metaverse and the future of interaction, digital interaction, is HoloLens and devices like those who would bear it all right within the device and still keep you facilitated.
I agree. There is one of the ways to interact with the metaverse will be the VR, at least for now. We have this bulky headset. In the future, there might be a lens on your eyes. There might be the HoloLens that we tried it. The angle of view is still small. It's getting better. The resolution is getting better. But we don't know. The technology is progressing. There is a huge investment with all the companies to build in the new way to interact. But we always progress in a hybrid way. For now, we still have log in with Facebook, log in with Twitter, log in with Facebook. But later on, we have already log in with your MetaMask, this is the Web3 integration. And also we see for now what we are building. We are trying to build something easily accessible through mobile, interacting with the VR and AR through mobile, and also building it through VR if someone wants to test the headset. That's why we are putting this headset at Meta Terrace for people to experience it if they haven't experienced it for the first time. But we are looking to see what the technology will hold, because I believe it might be a chip in your head like what Elon Musk is building, which I don't agree with, but let's talk about it, or a lens. So we don't know how the metaverse will be in the future, but if a brand needs to be future-proof, they should start from now experiencing how they should interact with their customers.
Sometimes you'll have to believe, though it's tough to, that some of the first and unsophisticated approaches to technology were the most adopted. More so it has to do with adoption than the technological development. So for example, we are still using C# as the core of coding. We're still using Ethereum as the core of blockchain.
Not everyone will understand that, Gaurav. It's okay.
So probably the version of metaverse we are dealing with would be the ultimate version of metaverse that might have found the right adoption.
100%.
And the latest in tech, the Solanas of blockchains, as the Solanas of metaverse would be, might still be a new thing and struggling for massive adoption.
Okay, I want to switch gears here for a second, right? We're all excited about the metaverse. This really sounds cool. It seems like, suddenly we'll have customized experiences. We'll have enhanced taste experiences. I heard about
We'll be in the Matrix.
We'll be in the Matrix, right? And brings me to the Matrix is one of my favorite movies, for the record. And there, immediately to the ethical implications of the metaverse. I feel in technology, we're not too good with governing technology and then actually adopting it. Best case example is what is happening with AI. We are all today AI user, we are all social media users, but really we are being used and abused when it comes to AI. If we look at data sets in AI, they don't represent minorities, they don't represent well for the female population of the world, for the colored population of the world, for anyone that wasn't part of, let's say, the programming team or the focus data sets. I'd like to hear from the panel, and I'd like to start with Ralph. What are ethical considerations for us to implement today so that we don't come and have this technology essentially be somewhat of a negative effect to us?
That's a great question and very timely. Just last week, Roblox, the major gaming platform, had to deal with an issue where people, mainly young people under 16 playing games on Roblox, found that if you went to a Roblox room relative to your game, there would be content and stuff that was really pornographic, which really made Roblox, which is involved with hundreds of millions of players every day, doing
mostly
something
underage players, right?
Exactly correct. Very, very important. So that's one of the issues. There's a fascinating company in America called the Algorithmic Justice League. It's a group that are looking directly at the question of ethics in terms of artificial, or really the real name for artificial intelligence is assisted intelligence, not artificial intelligence, although people call it that. But the Algorithmic Justice League, if you just look up algorithmicjusticeleague.com, it's a fantastic site that is looking at just these issues, because if you've got a brand that you've developed over years, or you've got a service that you want to develop, this can give you some idea as to how you have certain watchguards to make sure that you are doing the right thing so that you can do well by doing good.
Ralph, 2, 3 suggestions, or maybe one, that we need to start adopting from a technology point of view in the meta.
Well, first of all, there are many metaverses already existing, well over 300, and I think the best thing one can do is to try, if you remember 15, 20 years ago, you'd look for a search engine optimization element, or SEO, search engine optimizer, and engineer. So now you need to look, if you're developing a brand, particularly on a global basis, or even here in the UAE and the Middle East, you've got to now think of Metaverse as a key element of your planning in all aspects of product development, service development, marketing development, and ultimately sales development.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Kirk, ethical considerations for the metaverse.
Ethical-wise, it's also a good consideration because identity is probably a good example. The freedom to be who you are in the metaverse. I could be a lion. I could be, you could be any gender. I could be a car. I could be walking around. And how do you sort of put parameters on that and say, there's a freedom of expression in a virtual identity, but does that correlate to something else? Let's say, okay, this is a metaverse for, I don't know, women. How do you find, just for women? Then how do you segregate that? And it's going to be quite difficult over time, but I feel that I really feel.
I'd like to nail you down on one, please.
Sure.
One ethical consideration if you were to advise the world on metaverse.
I would say one ethical would be just to check out the environmental impact, really.
The environmental impact. I like that. Chris, over to you. One, if there's one consideration that you would give to that goes beyond business, beyond development, beyond the financial experience, what do we need to watch out for?
I know we will have a lot of difficulties, and these are the challenges, the problem we've heard about sexual harassment and stuff happening in the metaverse. These are challenges that we faced early on in Facebook and Instagram and in all the other
We're still not fixing them.
We're still facing. These are ongoing challenges. There will be always ways to turn around and find new ways, and we will find a way to fix this. So the only thing I think about is to advise to be mindful and understanding. This is a new world. It's very early. There will be a lot of issues. We cannot cancel these issues and say I'm not going to go into the metaverse because of this, because of that. We need to have open mind and report whenever there's some issue and try to fix them. If you have an idea, you should go around and try to build something to fix, because this is an opportunity for a business that is still missing in the metaverse, of course.
Right, to quote His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, he said the easiest way to tell the future is to actually build the future. Wassim, what would your ethical considerations for companies, or you as Verofax are an active part in this, what are ethical considerations you're implementing?
Well, there's a number of them. If we were to really, boil it down, it boils down to having a Web3 verified identity,
Right.
And then standardization for the industry. I think, if there's, I'm sorry to have named two, but that's really what it comes to. Regulation always comes late. Web3, blockchain-based, decentralized identity is still not here because we're still broken down into 193 countries, and you have those centralized authorities that is issuing us that recognized identity. I think the future is promising to have that decentralized identity, but it's not yet around.
How about you, Gaurav? 2, 3.
If I would be wearing my decentralization evangelist hat, I would have walked out of the panel already. We're definitely not discussing decentralization here. We're coming back to our old motives of centralization, control, authority. I do agree to the ethical practices. I think there should be regulations for sure. But just to put not a thin line, but a thick wall, we're not discussing decentralization first. Now that I'm discussing centralization, control, and authority with the spirit of decentralization, I think I'd build upon what Wassim said, simply having a verified identity and a unified score across wherever you're moving, so that you're scored across natural traits of human, so that the identity, though being private, still has a score, right? So let's say if you're interacting with the kind of content you're still building a score of engagement with that, and hence, and believe me, if I keep speaking on this, it will seem like what we just discussed about the abuse of data and social media. You'll get into that. You'll eventually land there. But then it's complementing. It's just two sides of the same coin. The more you start implementing control, regulation, the more you're more likely to be abused, and whatever we have seen with the social media data science cases. There's no exit. It's either decentralized or it's centralized and controlled.
Interesting point of view. Ralph?
Well, I think this notion of identity, very important. Those of you that are interested in making sure that identity is something that you can validate effectively, there's a great company called iProve, iProov.com. They are the world specialists that can help you do that in terms of mobile interaction as well as in terms of VR and AI interaction, because identity is absolutely key to the future of how the metaverse can work for your clients, customers, and future business.
You're an encyclopedia, right? I love it.
I was going to say.
Plus, he gets paid for every name he drops. Adidas, Coke. And
No,
I know. No, I'm joking. Of course.
You've got to do it right.
Yes. No. I love it. I'm not attacking that at all. Wassim, over to you.
I just wanted to have a follow-up on what Gaurav mentioned. There is a thick wall between regulation and standardization. And I think, what we need to make sure is that we don't...
I'm sorry, would you please elaborate? How is there a thick wall between regulation and standardization?
Yeah, so for example, in the healthcare, you're setting the standard on how to maintain the cold chain, right? So you need that in order for the product to arrive safely.
Regulations stick and hook upon standardizations.
Yeah, so the regulation is what governs that. But all I'm saying, at least if in the metaverse, you need to have a certain standardization for the identity and the Web3 identity to prevent any kind of stealing of identities. You need to have a standardization of security. That is not the regulatory part. So
well, listen, just to be clear, right? 12 years investing, father of two, and living in the same world we all are. I am definitely a fan and on the side of regulations and standardization. I wouldn't imagine this world to be wild without regulators and police and whatever we have, the control around it. I mean, look at Dubey. It's one of the most beautiful places and a house to the wealthiest because they feel safe here. Why? Regulators. So I'm not against regulators, but then at the same time, I've been evangelizing decentralization since 2015, right? You can be right on both sides. Right? Decentralization will always sit against regulation. It will always sit, and we have to take it with a pinch of salt, so to say, with open arms. That's it. And I'll tell you, there'll always be a conversation. I wouldn't want to go controversial and call it a war, but there'll always be an anarchy around centralization that would be obviously decentralization, right? So again, sorry to disagree, but I think regulation is sitting on the top of standardization, and the anarchy around the concept of control, which is standardization and authorization and regulation, is decentralization to its core.
I think it is a philosophical discussion that can go, and if we look at another technology that has actually gone in a similar way, we look at the internet. Until today, the internet is the open internet that we can all access. And if anyone here is working for a government, you'll have an intranet, for example, an entity that of choice, choose wherever you want. You still have intranet, which are not accessible to me, which are only accessible to you as an employee of that company, right? So this is a panel by itself, centralization versus decentralization. Go ahead.
We can talk about also governance and DAOs. maybe in the metaverse, which is decentralized.
What's a DAO? Maybe you start there.
Yeah, decentralized autonomous organization, which is sort of governance by the people instead of having strict regulation by one person centralized. But it's a very complex topic with a lot of variables, so it will take a panel by itself just to discuss this.
I would agree.
But again, I'm sorry, I'll have to present my
Of
views.
course, decentralization, Gaurav.
Yeah,
Yes.
so DAO started off with the first project called the DAO on Ethereum. I was actually an investor there. I lost around 800 Ethereum there. So quite keen to express my views. The idea started off from being a DAO, an opinion collector of vested people. That was DAO, right? What eventually, and the long story short, what eventually it has landed to is the Wyoming DAO control, the Switzerland DAO control. It is, if you go by the books, it is exactly the same terms as you would have for a society or a foundation. So it's like you have dragged something, an anarchy, an out of control anarchy, and sort of boxed it within the rules of the world. And just so you know, one of the most famous DAOs and the most successful that we would talk about is Aave, right?
Aave.
What is Aave now? Aave is an EMI license and a money control license in the US, in the Europe, and that actually makes them access more capital.
100%.
So what we're talking about
even
is
the
a
DAOs of Uniswap, which is getting more of a centralized.
Yes,
DAO.
exactly. So you're being arm
nothing
twisted.
Is perfect. Yeah,
decentralization is being arm twisted to beg to centralization, and eventually is boxed within the framed laws and structure. They're not even bothering to optimize it for decentralization.
But I believe in the future we will see some optimization and advancement in DAOs. There is always issues. We have the DAOs that we have now are not perfect, and they are coming of a centralized DAOs. But we hope we see more of a equilibrium in this part. Maybe hopefully in the future.
Ralph, over to you.
What I was going to say was, I think these comments are very pertinent. We have no women on this particular panel session, and I would like to draw attention to women and their absolutely vital significance in developing this new world.
I agree.
In fact, later today, Emma Banks, probably one of the top F&B experts in the world from one of the major hotel groups, will be speaking, who not only brings a great feminine view, but a business view and a financial view, but it is essential that this really sees the incorporation of women and female thinking into the Feminiverse at the metaversity of life.
Beautiful, Ralph. Beautiful.
Both registered companies.
That deserves a round of applause.
I just wanted to second, and I want to make sure that people understand that, women influence more than 65% of purchase decisions. In addition, they are the ones that strive more than the males for experiences. And this is where the metaverse is coming to play. It's actually providing that experiences, that 3D environment. Let's forget about DAOs and decentralization. Let's just go back to the first principles. The metaverse is all about augmented experiences. Whatever is your job or whatever you're trying to do. But in terms of experiences, the female are actually the most important ingredient within the metaverse, and for that, I fully second Ralph.
That's wonderful. Now, I've been advised not to take questions, but I see so many question marks on people's faces. Maybe we can take one or two burning questions if you have any. Okay, it's never easy to ask a question in front of 200 people. All right, so while Wassim is closing another $1 billion deal with Ralph, I'd like to invite the gentlemen on the panel to share some parting thoughts on. See, it's happening. To share some parting thoughts on how they believe this will develop, things we should look out for, and I'd like to, given that we're in the UAE, we're in Dubai. I'd like you to take a point of view on where you see Dubai, the crypto oasis, stand in this. Kirck.
Sure. I think that Dubai's structure gives it almost like a hotbed that other countries could potentially follow. Oh, can you hear me? Yeah. Sorry, I feel like it's a hotbed that other countries can potentially follow. It's almost like a trial, so other countries would eventually follow. Like, how can I integrate NFTs into my business? How do I, we have this term called perkability that I sort of try to introduce, almost So we produce these passes that you can utilize for other experiences. So I feel like Dubai is just a very open environment where people can just play around with these ideas, whether it's virtual, augmented, or retail. And yeah, I mean, it's really just like I mean, at some point, other countries would just follow, and this is just really where the beginning, really the beginning.
Thank you. Chris.
Yes, well, as I mentioned before, I just want to mention to everyone, so let's have an open mind regarding the metaverse. It's just a new frontier of social media. There will be a lot of failed ideas and a lot of successful ideas. We should focus more on the successful ideas, see how we can implement your business, your industry within the metaverse. There's a lot of ideas that's still not explored in the space. There will be a lot of issues that we will face and we'll try to solve. And I see Dubai is why we are even focused on building the Meta Terrace and the crypto community in Dubai, because it's friendly. They are also always adapting to the new technologies, and we've been supporting the NFT space and the crypto space in Dubai since the beginning.
That's great to hear. Wassim, parting thoughts, the unique selling
Absolutely.
point.
I think definitely this is the place that is used to do the best, the most extravagant, the landmarks, and it's set on it. And I think we're extremely actually thrilled to be part of this community to try and help brands build their first metaverse in retail, as a flagship store, or help certain different environments that you can build the perfect experience, whatever is the industry that you're in, out of Dubai. Launch it out of Dubai. This is the right place that is now voted as the #1 location for startups to come. And we're going to see more and more traffic. So there's going to be amazing, brilliant minds that are going to come here, and we can't wait to interact with everyone around.
Wonderful. Ralph.
Well, what I would say is Dubai has proven itself to be really the flagship of the future in so many ways, a big focus on all of this area. And if you're looking at the operability of your data and your digital assets, this is the place where you can clearly develop them and make money and grow a business that touches the world.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ralph. Gaurav.
I think I don't have better words than what Wassim said. I'll back him 100%. Like everything he said was absolutely perfect in reference to Dubai, the ecosystem. But I would also want to add and inform and acknowledge your efforts and the adamance you have towards building crypto Oasis. I think people with targets and persistence are the one who build the world, not the one with talent, skills, or other stuff, intelligence. So you are quite a fulcrum, I would say, in the formation of crypto Oasis, as it would be known later. For everything else, before, when you enter, we are there. We'll keep nurturing ideas and bringing them to you.
Wonderful, and right back at you. I think what TDeFi is doing here is absolutely impressive. To put some numbers around this, the crypto Oasis today consists of 500 companies just in the UAE working in the blockchain ecosystem. Our plan is to grow this blockchain ecosystem to 1,000 companies by the end of the year. We'll need everyone's participation on this. I personally really did enjoy this panel. The key takeaway, I think, is if you want technology guys to start butting heads, talk to them about centralization or decentralization. A big round of applause for the gentlemen, and thank you for listening. Yeah, a parting picture.